Space, the final frontier. This is the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. Its mission to explore the solar system, to seek out new observations and data, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. And now the host of the Observer's Notebook, Tim Robertson.
Welcome to episode 220 of the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. I'm Tim Robertson, your host. I want to thank you for joining us. And a special welcome goes out to all of our new listeners. Thanks for finding us. I hope you enjoyed the show and become a part of our growing community of observers. This podcast is made donation by support from you, our listeners. If you'd like to help joining the Observer's Notebook podcast, you can join us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Even for $5, you receive early access to the podcast before it goes public. For $10, you'll receive a copy of the Novice Observer's Handbook. And for $35 a month, you'll be recognized as a producer of this podcast. You can find the details at www.patreon.com/Observer's Notebook. And to learn more about the ALPO, visit our website at www.alpo-astronomy.org, where you can also join the organization. Membership starts at just $22 a year. And let's dive into episode 220 of the Observer's Notebook podcast. Enjoy. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to this edition of the Observer's Notebook podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Kelly Blumenthal. She's the Director of Astronomy Outreach at the International Astronomical Union. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the discussion today, why don't you give everybody a little bit of background just about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Kelly Blumenthal. I'm the director of the International Astronomical Union Office for Astronomy Outreach. We are based at the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan, which is here in Tokyo. And if you ever happen to be in Tokyo, just come on and say hello. The campus of NAOJ is beautiful. There's so many really historic telescopes. It's a really lovely place to work. So I am from the United States. I have a degree in astronomy and physics. I also have a degree in music. And I have a PhD in theoretical cosmology. After my PhD, I decided I wanted to focus more on education. So I have another degree in education. And I did a bunch of consulting freelance work in that space for a while. And then I eventually wound up working with the IAU at the Office for Astronomy Outreach. So I've kind of bounced around quite a bit grew up in New Jersey, did college and a lot of grad school in Boston, some other grad school in Hawaii, and now in Japan.
Oh, wow. How do you like Japan?
It's a really interesting place to live.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
I've been here for 3 years.
Okay.
I think it's a really important experience for everyone to live in a place where they don't speak the dominant language. It's very humbling, and it's a really, I think it's a really character building experience to have, and also to be forced to learn a language that's not English. It kind of changes the way you perceive things. I think it's really important.
So how is your learning of the language going?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I can understand a lot more than I can speak. And reading is quite difficult too, because it's a syllabary, so it's not an alphabet like in English it is, or some of the other many of the other Romance languages. So it's a little different for us to kind of figure out how to map sounds to glyphs. But it's interesting. It really is. It does change the way that you think about things, even just like the structure of the grammar is really interesting to think about.
Wow. Huh. So tell us a bit about your role within the IAU and what your day-to-day work involves.
Yeah, of course. So the IAU has within it several offices. So there's the Office for Astronomy Outreach, which is us based in Tokyo. There's the Office of Astronomy for Education, which is based in Germany. The Office of Astronomy for Development, which is in South Africa. And then there's the Office for Young Astronomers, which is based out of Norway. There's also a center, which is the Center for the Protection of the Dark and Quiet Sky, that has a bunch of different kind of locations that it's associated with, the UK, US, and in Paris. The central office for the IAU is in Paris. And so the offices and the center all kind of make up, the fundamental pillars of the IAU. And we all work together in association, of course, with the leadership of the IAU to promote the IAU's mission, which is to safeguard astronomy through education, through outreach, through development, and capacity building, really, and to ensure that everybody has access to astronomy. So in that sense, that's our role at the OAO is really to promote the public engagement side. I like to avoid the word outreach as much as possible.
Why is that?
Outreach implies a one-directional transmission of knowledge.
Okay.
And engagement is kind of a community of knowledge sharing. And I think that perspective is more in alignment with what we're really trying to do. We're not trying to give people knowledge. We want to create knowledge with alongside people. And so that's what we try to do at the Office for Astronomy Outreach.
I never thought of outreach like that, but yeah, that makes sense. What you want to do is communicate and not just one way.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a bidirectional dialogue, or multi-directional dialogue, bringing in as many perspectives and as many viewpoints as possible to really build a more holistic, cohesive understanding of the universe that's not just based necessarily in one conception of the universe, but takes in and considers really seriously many other different ways of looking at things. I think there's a statement, the myth of objectivity. Everything that we see as humans is subjective. Even when we're looking at data, the way that we perceive data is subjective in of itself. I was actually just talking about this yesterday to somebody, the fact that people with synesthesia see or hear or experience different things when they experience the same input kind of implies that objectivity can't exist because it's all your subjective experience happening. And the way that we perceive things in turn creates our understanding of things. And so all of our understandings are based on our own lens. And understanding then as many lenses as possible gives us this really unique perspective on the universe. And so that's what we do at the OAO, is to try to really understand and communicate that to the global public, all 8 billion people.
And in the current environment, there's a lot of different lenses out there, right? Now, the way people see the world.
There are, yes.
Yeah. Wow. Now, how did you first become involved with the IAU, and what keeps you engaged?
So the mission of the IAU and the mission of the OAO and what we're trying to build with the OAO keeps me engaged. I always tell people this is my dream job. I love what I'm doing, and I would rather do nothing else. I think the only thing that would make me happier is if we actually had students who are doing work with us, and that's actually something that we're trying to do, is bring in interns who are participating in science communication degrees, so we can continue this professional development of science communicators and bringing them into this world of astronomy communication. But I arrived at the IAU through the OAO, actually, but I started as a volunteer researcher. So I did a study on, we have a network of national outreach coordinators. So it's kind of like points of contact that have teams of people that work together that, kind of cascade the mission, vision, and resources of the Office for Astronomy Outreach out into their communities as widely as possible. And so the interesting thing about that is that you, just as we're saying, you have all of these different perspectives on astronomy communication and the different perspectives on astronomy in general. Even what I was saying before about learning Japanese changes the language you speak, changes the way that you're understanding things, understanding your world. And it's very much the same thing with understanding astronomy. And so the work that I was doing was kind of a qualitative analysis on the impact of culture on astronomy communication. And it's really interesting to dive into. So that's where I started with the IAU. And then I got involved in the development of public engagement training for astronomers through the IAU in cooperation with the Kavli Institute, or the Kavli Foundation, I should say. And then from there, I wound up becoming the deputy director of the OAO, and then a year later, the director.
Okay. So it's the Office of Astronomy Outreach. When are you going to change it to the Office for Astronomy Engagement?
I would love to change the name. It's a little difficult, though.
I bet.
The branding is a little entrenched at this point. We've been around for 13 years now. So it's people know OAO, but renaming it would take a little bit of work.
Okay. All right. For listeners that may not know, what's IAU's mission and how does it serve professional and amateur astronomers?
So the mission is to safeguard astronomy in all of its in all of the senses that you can imagine that is.
Okay.
The science of astronomy, and we do that through outreach engagement, education, development, and professional development, in particular with young astronomers, and providing resources to young astronomers in areas where they don't necessarily have access to the same kind of educational resources as elsewhere in the world, Europe, for example, United States. And we have the way that the IAU is structured is we have divisions, which are kind of like broad areas like star formation or galaxies is a division. So very broad area of astronomy. And then within that, subdivisions are commissions. So kind of subspecialties within the larger division make up the commissions. And then within commissions, there are individual working groups that have like a specific task that they are focused on for a specific amount of time. And usually those get reevaluated every 3 years alongside the cycle of our General Assembly. But there are exceptions to that. There are executive committee working groups, which basically is just, ones that are really important to the function of the IAU. One of those is women in astronomy. Another one is diversity, equity, and inclusion for astronomy. And another one is actually the kind of fosters relationships between professional and amateur astronomers. So astronomers and amateur astronomers are encouraged to engage with IAU astronomers as much as possible, recognizing that amateur astronomers have a huge wealth of, many of them have a huge wealth of resources and data that are really useful and important for professional astronomy research. So there's a lot of opportunity to bridge that. I don't want to say divide, because I don't necessarily think there is. I think a lot of professional astronomers at some point either were amateur astronomers or became them later on after they left, the professional research field. But to bridge these two groups and bring them together into individual projects that really highlight the resources and the skills of all people involved. And so that's I can send you the link later, maybe,
Okay.
so you can post it along with whatever resources go out in association with this,
Okay.
so that people can get involved, because I think that's really important. That's something that the working group certainly is trying to get off the ground. They have a platform where you can sign up to be part of a project or propose your own project, and it'll bridge, kind of match astronomers with the professional astronomers with amateur astronomers and get people working together.
Okay. Well, yeah, as an amateur astronomer for over 50 years, my thought of the every time I heard IAU, I thought of, oh, you guys define planets and name comets and things like that and minor planets. And every time, I subscribe to IAU circulars, so I find out when the new comets are coming and minor planets. And that was my focus. I had no idea that the organization is as large as it is. And when I decided to have someone on from the IAU, I went on, of course, I looked at all the sections and areas of interest, and I was really blown away by how expanded this organization is and how, you touch so many different areas of astronomy.
Mm-hmm.
That was fascinating to me. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have about 13,000 members
Whew.
from roughly 90 countries. It's a huge organization. It's the largest international organization associated with astronomy, bringing astronomers together. And you're right, we do touch on absolutely everything within astronomy, even though our origins started in kind of keeping track of all the names of
Hmm.
things,
Hmm.
as you've seen through the circulars, absolutely. But yeah, there's so much more to it now. It's really evolved in the last 100-ish years.
Hmm. Can you share any recent milestones or discoveries that the IAU has been closely working with or involved with?
Well, IAU astronomers are making discoveries all the time. It's I think in association with all of the work that people have been doing, is really quite incredible. But some of the things that the IAU likes to promote, in particular, is our PhD prize. So each division gives out a prize of every year of the best dissertation that was done within the last year.
Okay.
And that's really incredible. That spans things from like the chemical composition of dust to modeling, like AI modeling of the solar corona and atmosphere. And there's a ton of really incredible research coming out, particularly from young astronomers, people who are just out
Hmm.
of their PhD, just receiving their PhD. And there is actually a working group that's dedicated to junior members, which is everybody who's received their PhD within the last 5 years. And so once you become a junior member, you stay for 5 years, and then after that, you progress into an individual member, and you're a member for life.
Oh, wow.
And it's also free. The only people that pay are the national members, but you do have to apply to be part of the IAU, and you do have to have a PhD, unfortunately. So there are some exceptions, but they're very few. And but it is a really big honor to be a member of the
I'm
IAU,
sure.
to be part of this association, and to be, kind of floating in all of these really incredible discoveries and exciting, exciting scientific research going on. And everything that we see reported during the General Assembly that just
Hmm.
happened actually last year in South Africa, in Cape Town, in August last year. It's amazing to see what people are doing, and what's coming out of the IAU membership.
Yeah, the IAU came to, I think, the news media front back in 2006, I believe,
Mm.
when Pluto was redefined as a dwarf planet.
Yes.
Looking back 20 years later, how has that decision affected the other decisions the IAU might make?
I don't think it has much.
Okay.
At least I don't think it's affected the decisions that the IAU makes. I think every IAU astronomer that I've spoken to, anyway, um, agrees with that decision.
Mhm.
That reclassification makes sense.
It makes
Um,
sense, but
but so then the only thing that's greatly impacted is my office because we get emails every day from
oh,
people who weren't even alive in 2006, very upset about the fact that Pluto is not a planet.
you still
Um,
receive emails today.
oh, absolutely, all the
Wow.
time, every day, at least one.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people blame Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think, for that. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't him; it was
I
the
know.
IAU
I
membership.
know. I know. Yeah. Wow. You guys obviously have strong outreach. That's your job. You have
Mhm.
International Astronomical Union Symposia, I believe.
Yes, we do.
World Astronomy Day, which you talked.
We don't directly celebrate World
Okay.
Astronomy Day. There's a lot going on at the IAU and the OAO.
Okay.
But there are typically like celebrations that are all happening around those those days because it's twice a year. Um, uh, so in May we typically celebrate dark and quiet skies. You know,
Okay.
combating light pollution and raising awareness about kind of healthy light environments. Um, and then in September, October, we celebrate 100 hours of astronomy, which is around the same time. It's end of
Okay.
September is World Astronomy Day. Beginning of October is 100 hours of astronomy. So, and there's also a bunch of other celebrations that happen around the same time. There's World Space Week. International Observe the Moon Night actually happens within 100 hours of astronomy.
October 4th
Um,
this year.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
involved with
So
that as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's there's a lot happening, and it's really easy to just kind of there's a big melting pot of celebrations happening at the same time, all working toward better understanding of astronomy and getting people excited about astronomy.
Yeah, a couple episodes ago, I had the director of International Moon Night on the podcast. So we talked
Mm,
about this year's event too. So looking forward to that. Talk about the event coming up. Well, this is releasing this October 1st. So you have 100 hours of astronomy. Let's
we
talk about that
do,
a little
yes,
bit.
absolutely. So 100 hours of astronomy is from the 2nd until the 5th of October. Um, and it is a 100-hour marathon of events that are hosted and put together by the general public. And we just kind of coordinate and advertise and do as much as we can to make sure that as many people on the planet are engaging with astronomy during this 100-hour period. And we're all, doing it together too. This thing that we always talk about is being under one sky. It's a really great opportunity to talk about, like global citizenship and to bring everybody together through astronomy. And so that's what we're trying to do with 100 hours. And within that 100 hours, spanning International Observe the Moon Night from the 4th until the 5th of October, we'll be doing our 24-hour live stream celebrating planetariums. So from the years 2023 to 2025 is the celebration of the centennial of the planetarium. And it spans a few years because in 1923, the first planetarium projector was invented. And then in 1925, the first planetarium was open to the public. And so we have these kind of bookending events,
Okay.
and we are the end of that book. So we are kind of closing out the celebration of the 100th birthday of the planetarium. And we are working alongside the International Planetarium Society. And we will be live streaming for 24 hours um, uh, from the Akashi Planetarium, which is the oldest functioning planetarium in Japan.
Oh, wow.
It's close-ish to Osaka. It's about an hour away by train from Osaka. Um, absolutely beautiful place. The projector is a thing of beauty. It's such a joy to see it in operation. And we will have people have sent in pre-recorded videos that we'll be playing that kind of showcase either the planetarium that they engage with on a regular basis, or doing some kind of engagement event. And we'll also have people joining us live to either say hello from their planetarium, or tell us about the work that they do, or the work that they do within their communities. And we focus on planetariums just for the theme, but it's really important to note that planetariums are just one tool in the way of inspiring people to be part of this astronomical journey that we're all on. And so there's so many different ways to engage the public and engage your communities. And we encourage people to explore those different ways. It's not just about planetariums, it's about all of the ways that we work together to bring people into the world of astronomy.
Great. How many planetariums do you have signed up to participate so far?
I think there's 75 groups that are going to be participating. But I think maybe 30 of them are actually planetariums, either stationary or mobile.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Yeah. Can you tell us how the IAUs work with developing nations and how astronomy is used as a tool for education in those?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think those are probably best mediated through the different offices that deal with those two things. So the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development kind of focuses on using and leveraging astronomy as a tool for socioeconomic development in various places around the world. And one of the ways that they do that, particularly with economic development, is with astrotourism, going into these communities that have really beautiful natural dark skies, untouched by light pollution, that people would readily pay a lot of money to go to view the night sky from those places. And so going into those communities, giving them training on not only how to perform these activities, but also how to handle the entrepreneurial side of it.
Oh my.
Because that's very important too. So it provides the framework for economic development within those communities, and empowers people to pursue something that can bring a lot of resources into their communities, into their lives. They have a bunch of other projects that they focus on. One of them that just it didn't conclude, but there was, the first iteration of it was really successful. It was a hackathon for development. And so they brought together many different groups, and they, students working together to solve a single problem. I think it was to optimize the analysis of some data.
Okay.
And they, it's a test of community building. It's a test of working together in collaboration.
Okay.
It also brings resources to these communities, and just knowledge base and capacity building, giving people the what they need in order to succeed in science. And so it was a really successful event. They did a phenomenal job. The coordinator did a really phenomenal job. And I hope they do it again, because I think it'll be a wonderful experience for as many people on the planet as they can muster. They also have a project that's focused on mental health. So using astronomy as a tool to promote mental health, and leveraging the way that astronomy kind of tweaks your brain a little bit. Wonder and awe change the way that your synapses work, and can activate different parts of your ability to understand and perceive, and kind of place yourself in context. And using that as a way to kind of explore your own internal world, for the promotion of mental health in ways that might be more acceptable to certain communities. So it's the Office of Astronomy for Development does a lot of really wonderful work.
Wow.
And then the Office of Astronomy for Education focuses on primary and secondary schools,
Okay.
training teachers how to teach astronomy so that they can go back
Thank
and
you for
incorporate that.
that.
Yes,
Thank
no,
you.
it's very important,
It
very,
is.
very important.
Yeah.
And incorporating that into the curriculum is also very important. And I think something that I've been talking a lot about recently, I don't know why it's come up so many times, but between all of the offices that we have at the IAU, there's so much synergy between all of that. You can't have astronomy and curriculum in schools if you don't have the educational infrastructure
Hmm.
to say, like, this is important, we need this in schools. If you don't have the or if you don't have the resources, then if you don't have the economical resources or the political resources, then you can't create those educational structures. And if you don't show people that astronomy is important, that science is important, then those political structures aren't going to be created. And so it's this big cycle of how it all kind of works together. That's really desperately important. And I think that's kind of the impetus behind the IAU creating all of these offices, is realizing that it's so important to engage people in as many ways as possible, and as many perspectives as possible,
Hmm.
approaching the same problem from multiple different angles, and seeing how they all work together. And that's the whole. I think that's the way we change the world. That's our
Yeah,
mission.
yeah. I've seen it. Do you know Pran Vera Hysini? Have you heard of her?
No, I don't think so.
She's just a PhD student from Northern California, but she's from Kosovo,
Ah,
and
yes.
and she spearheaded the first national observatory in Kosovo. And this was like a 15-year project she worked on, and she had to get the government involved, and the government didn't want to do anything about science. But over the years, she broke them down with constant
Yeah.
annoyance, and now they have the only observatory in the country of Kosovo, and it's fascinating. It's got an observatory. It's got awesome instruments from Celestron that donated to it. So someone like that, and what she's done in that country, now she's over here helping out observatories and astronomy clubs too. So
Yeah.
someone like that's
That's really
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have a national outreach coordinator from Kosovo who's working at the same
Oh,
observatory.
oh,
And
okay.
I'm sure they know each other.
Oh yeah, I'm
And they do
100%.
phenomenal work. It's
Yes.
amazing what they're doing, not only in Kosovo, but also within the region. They're really trying to seriously bring people together across national and cultural borders, and they're doing it. And
Hmm.
it's really inspiring, I
It
think, to
really
see
is.
that
Yeah.
happen in real time.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what role do you see amateur astronomers play in supporting the IAU?
Well, I think getting involved with as many projects that the IAU has going on as
Okay.
possible, being involved in the working group, I think would be really important to share the resources and the knowledge that you have. The data that you have
Hmm.
is, it makes a really big difference in
Hmm.
the research environment that we have at the IAU. Being involved in any of the projects that the OAO runs, or being involved in anything related to the OAE. So the Office of Astronomy for Education has kind of centers and nodes dispersed around the world that people should be involved with. They need that expertise. They need that people power to push these things forward. And if you email anyone at any of these offices and you say, I have I'm really excited about this. I think it's really important. I want to help out in whatever way I can. No one's going to say no. So
Okay.
I think we're all a very welcoming bunch. And if you email us, we will figure out a way to get you involved.
Okay. And that was leading to my next question. How could the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers support the IAU?
Yeah. So I think very much in the same way.
Yeah.
Any
We've got 75 years worth of data in our organization from
Yeah.
planetary and lunar observing. So,
exactly. And that kind of data is really important when you're
Hmm.
talking about these long, longitudinal studies over many decades even.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is very important. The And I think having the opportunity to build relationships with
Hmm.
different organizations um, it just strengthens the work that we do in general. So I would really encourage you to continue this relationship that we're building here,
Definitely,
to figure
definitely.
out a way to bring your organization closer to the Office for Astronomy Outreach.
I'd like to do that. Yeah, yeah. Definitely we should work together in some way in that. Yeah, I like that. What do you think is some of the biggest challenges you see in the next decade for the IAU in general?
Uh, AI.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah, that's the way that it always goes.
Yeah,
It's
a challenge and a
Yeah, it's an interesting. Oh man, and I've listened to so many podcasts about that. Um, but it's such an interesting thing to think about, because if you're being kind of honest, we've in astronomy been using some form of early AI, machine learning for
Mhm.
many years. Um, but it's just a matter of how it's evolved and what it can do now, and how it changes the scientific process. Uh, so, but it's a tool.
Mhm.
It's not going, I don't think it will replace us because
God, I hope not.
I hope not. This is my, like, my mom calls me an idealist pessimist, idealist, idealistic pessimist, which is understanding that there are things wrong with the world, but also that there are a lot of people who can really fix things and
Hmm.
get good work done, and make a difference. Um, and I believe that AI is a tool that we need to learn how to use, like any other major development in technology. Think about like when the calculator was invented
Yeah.
and widely dispersed.
What's a
That changed the
calculator?
paradigm.
Yeah,
That changed the way we teach math.
and it's progressing so rapidly right now too. I
Yeah,
mean, I just downloaded ChatGPT on my phone, and I'm like, oh, this thing's scary. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
But you have to be careful because sometimes it makes stuff up, and it does tell you things in alignment with what it thinks you are looking for.
really.
So if you're, yeah, I mean, anytime you use ChatGPT, I think you should also do some independent research to make sure that it's actually saying something correct. Because I've had, very often I'll go to ChatGPT and say, like, let's brainstorm this thing together. I want to, and that's usually what I use ChatGPT for,
Hmm.
is someone to talk to think through problems. Something. Uh, um, and But sometimes it says things that are just wrong. It references something that doesn't exist, or it gives me an article that is like linked to the wrong place, and if I ask it to list its resources, it might even say, "Oh, you're right. I didn't actually think about any resources on this or any references. Let me look through the literature and
It's
come up with
making
a different
assumptions
answer
for
for
you,
you."
huh?
Yeah, it's making assumptions based on what it thinks that I'm looking for,
Oh my goodness.
based on my input. So it's a dangerous thing if you're not using it intelligently. And I think we need to learn how to use it well and to our advantage, so that it is actually a tool that benefits us rather than something that ultimately slows us down.
Yeah, learning how to regulate though is going to be that's the trick. That's the trick. Yeah. I have a
Yeah,
lot of friends
learning.
that are graphic artists and they're out of work right now because of AI.
Yeah, yeah,
It's sad, you know.
it is sad. And it's, I think the arts are really seeing a lot of the really dark side of AI right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to we have to figure out a way to move past this, because science is very important, but being a human is also very important. Not to say that science is not being human, as being a human is to do science, but speaking to the humanistic part, the social part, the creative part of people is deeply important. It all plays into what we experience as humans, and so to lose the opportunity and access to that is devastating, I think.
Yeah.
Not only to us as a global public, but also to the different processes that we engage in. The way that we engage with science is creative and artistic in a certain sense.
It is. Yeah.
So it's all wrapped up together. I think if we lose one, we lose the other.
That's very good. So on a positive note, if you can inspire the next generation of astronomers with one message, what would it be?
I think that no matter what, the work that you do matters, because it can feel so, like when you're doing a PhD, it's this teeny tiny little piece of knowledge that you have that very few other people have, but it seems like it's very insignificant. But it's not. It adds to the, it might seem like a drop in the ocean, but that does make a difference. If we lose all those drops, then we have nothing left. And so it all impacts something in some way. Hopefully it's positively. And even if it's negatively, then that leads you in a different direction also. And that tells you something. You're learning something from the negative interaction. I think, what you do matters.
I like that. It's very good. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I think just come say hello. We are always very happy to talk with people who are interested in our work. Actually, I just many months ago, someone messaged me on LinkedIn, and they asked a bunch of questions about how to get into science communication. We had a nice little discussion, and I usually sit at this particular cafe, and I work there quite a bit, almost every day.
Okay.
And she saw me, and she came to say hello. She moved from Italy to Japan.
Oh my.
And happened to be living in my town. And she came to say hello. And we have this big event, 100 Hours of Astronomy, but we're going to be catching up after that. And so, this.
Oh, that's really great.
It's alarming how small this world is.
It really is.
So, come say hello. You never know what'll happen and what could come out of that. So, yeah.
I love it. Kelly, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. This has been fascinating for me. It really has, and I hope it has been for our viewers.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Observer's Notebook podcast. A big thank you to our guest, Kelly Blumenthal, for joining us today. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the podcast. It really helps us reach more listeners. New episodes of the Observer's Notebook come out every few weeks. You can find us on iTunes as well as the ALPO YouTube channel. If you'd like to help support the podcast, you can do so through Patreon. For as little as a few dollars a month, up to $35 a month, will you receive benefits which include 1-year membership to the ALPO and producer credits on the podcast. The link for Patreon, as well as the link of the ALPO, is in the show notes. I'd also like to extend a thank you to our producers, Steve Siedentop and Michael Moyer, for the generous support of the Observer's Notebook. And as always, you can reach me by email at tim.robertson@alpo-astronomy.org. Thanks for joining us today on the Observer's Notebook podcast. You can join the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers today. It's just this easy. You can become a valuable member of this International Lunar and Planetary Astronomy Organization, founded in 1947 by Walter H. Haas. It's based upon the structure of the British Astronomical Association. You can join various lunar and planetary observing sections, contribute to our massive archive of observations. You'll have access to our extensive lunar and planetary gallery of over 20,000 photos and observations of the sun, the moon, comets, meteors, and the planets. You'll receive our quarterly publication, the Journal of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. You have the ability to join the ALPO training program, which will teach you the finer points of making planetary observations. You can attend our annual virtual conference, and you'll have access to the Observer's Notebook podcast. Membership begins at only $22 a year. The way to find us, just go to your Google and type in ALPO Astronomy, and you'll see this prompt come up. There's our association with our website, alpo-astronomy.org, and you'll come to our homepage. If you look at the top of the homepage, it says Join ALPO. Click on that, and you'll come to the sign-up screen. It gives you the information on the organization, and there's two ways to join. You can join by mail, where you'll download a membership form, or you can pay online using PayPal. This is the PayPal processing page. You just fill out a few information lines, and then you're given the chance to click PayPal and join the association. Welcome to the ALPO.